Southern Columbia's wrestling squad works out in its mat room a day before taking on Muncie, always a tough opponent. They then tackle Benton at home Thursday and head to the Escape the Rock tournament this weekend, one of the toughest on the East Coast. They're sporting a 6-1 record right now, with that one loss coming to Montoursville at a tournament last weekend. The Warriors are one of the top teams in the state, and the Tigers only lost to them 35-33, despite a late start for some of their wrestlers. 5 members of the team didn't join practice until after December 19th, the day Southern won its record 7th state football title. The rest of the team had started working in this room on November 16th, and it was tough for them to not have the full team here.
It's pretty challenging because in the room here we have a lot of other kids that I can wrestle with, and when they're not there, it kind of limits me. And being limited isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely not a good thing in the room by yourself. So having the team here, it's definitely a huge help with conditioning and shape and even mentality.
It was equally hard for the 5 football players to transition to wrestling, a sport that requires a completely different type of physical conditioning.
At the beginning of the year, we were doing what would be easy practices, and me and all the other football players were dying. So, I'm asking the other wrestlers, I'm like, oh man, that practice was tough, wasn't it? They're like, no, not at all. I'm like, oh man. So, but now the hard practices, they feel like hard practices, easy practices feel like easy practices. So I'm pretty much back in it, and it feels pretty good.
Lane says the rest of the team knew the football players would need to get in shape quickly and were very supportive. Mark says he believes he's nearly caught up and hopes for a little payback this weekend for the one blemish on his record so far this season. Head coach Jerry Mark says the football players showed how committed they are by putting in extra time after practice. He ran them through their paces yesterday, working on the small things and basic moves that could help them improve. Coach Marks says they have a veteran team with Marks, Lane, his cousin Jarrett Lane, Shane Casey, and Steve Tuzlowski. Otherwise, they have a lot of youth, but the same goals despite that fact and the big delay.
Our goal is to get to the postseason in district duels and make it to Hershey in the teams category and in the individual.
Marks and Lane were especially anxious to get back into action this year after both couldn't wrestle at all last year because of injuries. Both would like to be standing on top of the podium at Hershey at the end of the season. For SECV8 Sports, I'm Chris O'Rourke reporting.